I had always felt secure in my marriage to James. At 30, I believed we had everything: a cozy apartment, a steady routine, and love that had grown over the years. But when James dropped the news of his week-long business trip, a wave of unease washed over me. It wasn't that I didn't trust him, but it had been a while since we'd had time apart, and the thought of being alone for so long felt unsettling. I tried to shake off the anxiety, telling myself it was just my imagination, but something in my gut gnawed at me. James kissed me on the forehead, his usual smile comforting, but I couldn't ignore the tiny voice in my head whispering that something was amiss. The silence in the apartment after James left was overwhelming. At first, I tried to focus on work, pouring myself into graphic design projects to distract myself from the loneliness. But as the hours stretched into the evening, the weight of the quiet pressed on my chest. I tried watching a movie, but every sound in the house seemed amplified: the hum of the refrigerator too loud, the ticking of the clock too sharp. Then came the doorbell. When I opened it, I wasn't expecting anyone, and the sudden appearance of Adam, James's best friend, caught me off guard. His easy smile and relaxed demeanor made me feel both at ease and strangely nervous. "Hey, Emma, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by. James mentioned he was away and I thought you might want some company," Adam said, holding up a bottle of wine. I invited him in, grateful for the distraction, but as we settled on the couch, I noticed an odd tension building between us. Adam was his usual charming self, making me laugh with his stories and compliments. But there was something else now, something that felt like a spark in the air, as if every glance and every smile carried more weight than before. I told myself it was nothing, that I was overthinking it, but I couldn't ignore how different this evening felt compared to any other time I'd spent with him. The way he listened with such intensity, how his gaze lingered just a little too long, it made my stomach tighten. The night ended, and Adam left, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed between us. As I locked the door behind him, my mind raced. Was it just my loneliness making me read too much into things? Or had Adam's visit stirred something deeper, something that would complicate everything? As I stood in the empty apartment, my heart pounded, and for the first time, I wasn't sure I could trust my own feelings. I had been alone in the house for 2 days now, and I still couldn't shake the strange feeling of emptiness that lingered. James was away on a business trip, and though I tried to fill my time with work, walks around the city, and catching up on my favorite shows, the silence was suffocating. I found myself constantly checking my phone, waiting for his messages, but there was a sense of unease creeping in. That evening, after an exhausting day of staring at my laptop, the doorbell rang, causing me to jump. I wasn't expecting anyone, and the sudden noise startled me. I walked cautiously to the door and opened it, only to find Adam standing there with a bottle of wine in his hand and a warm smile on his face. "Hey, Lily. I thought I'd stop by and keep you company. I know James is away, and I figured it would be nice to have someone around," Adam said casually, stepping inside without waiting for my response. My heart skipped a beat. It wasn't unusual for Adam to stop by, but there was something in his voice, a subtle shift that made me feel uneasy. I brushed it off, though. Adam was James's best friend, and we'd known each other for years. It was just friendly company, I reasoned. We settled into the living room, and as the evening progressed, I found myself laughing at Adam's jokes, enjoying the ease with which we conversed. It felt good to have someone to talk to, especially since I'd been feeling so isolated lately. But as the night wore on, I couldn't ignore the way Adam's gaze lingered on me a little longer than usual. The small touches, like when his hand brushed mine as he passed the wine, didn't feel quite as casual as they once did. My pulse quickened, but I tried to ignore it. "We should do this again sometime," Adam said, his voice dropping just slightly. "Maybe when James is still away," he added, a mischievous glint in his eyes. I froze. Something about the way he said it sent a chill down my spine. But before I could respond, the moment passed and Adam stood up, offering his goodbyes with a wide grin. My heart was racing. Had I misinterpreted the situation? Was I reading too much into it? I closed the door behind him, my mind racing with conflicting thoughts. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about Adam's visit. His words, his gaze I'd all replayed in my mind over and over. I felt uncomfortable but also confused, torn between the lingering connection I felt with Adam and the loyalty I had to James. I hadn't meant to let things escalate, but the attention Adam was giving me was hard to ignore. The following evening, just as I was settling in for a quiet night at home, my phone buzzed with a text message from Adam. Had a great time last night. Hope I didn't make things too awkward. We should do it again soon. I stared at the message, my heart racing. I knew I had to be careful. It was easy to get lost in the attention Adam gave me, but I couldn't forget the loyalty I felt toward James. Still, something about Adam's message felt too personal, too charged. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Should I ignore it, or should I respond? I took a deep breath and typed, "It was nice seeing you too. I just think we should keep things platonic." Before I could hit send, another message came through from Adam. "Platonic, huh? What if I don't want it to be?" My stomach turned. My hands trembled as I typed, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. "Adam, I'm married. Please respect that." I hit send, my heart racing with anxiety. The phone sat in my hands as I waited, my breath caught in my chest. The seconds stretched on forever. Finally, my phone buzzed again. Adam's response was swift, almost too swift. "Of course, Lily. I respect that. Just thought I'd let you know. I think about you more than I should." I stared at the screen, my heart sinking. Was this just harmless flirting? Or was Adam pushing me toward something more? And if so, where did that leave me? I put the phone down, feeling an overwhelming sense of dread wash over me. What had I gotten myself into? I sat on the couch, staring at my phone in disbelief. I had just gotten a message from Adam, and the words seemed to jump off the screen at me. "Had a great time last night. Hope I didn't stay too long." I read it again, my heart pounding in my chest. I had been trying to push the confusion of the previous evening out of my mind, but here it was again lingering like a ghost. I placed the phone down, hoping to shake the unease that had settled deep in my stomach. Just as I stood up to get some water, my phone buzzed again. The message from Adam was even more direct this time. "Glad to hear that. I was thinking of stopping by again tomorrow, if you're free. No pressure, of course." My mind raced. I felt a rush of guilt and a strange pull at the same time. I had tried to keep things casual, but the tension between Adam and me was undeniable. I thought of James, who was away on his business trip. My heart twisted in my chest at the thought of betraying his trust, but a small part of me couldn't deny the connection I felt with Adam. Taking a deep breath, I texted back, trying to sound composed. "Sure, tomorrow works." I hit send before I could overthink it further, but the weight of my decision lingered. The next day, as I prepared for Adam's visit, I couldn't shake the anxiety gnawing at me. What was I doing? Why was this happening? The evening progressed just like the last one. Adam brought food, we shared stories, and the chemistry between us grew stronger. But then, just as I was about to laugh at one of his jokes, our eyes locked, and I felt it, that undeniable spark. I froze, my pulse quickening. "I think about you a lot, Lily," Adam said, his voice low and smooth, sending a chill down my spine. My heart skipped a beat, my breath catching in my throat. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this really happening? The tension in the air was thick, the unspoken words between us more than palpable. I don't know what to say," I whispered, my voice shaking with uncertainty. The silence hung between us like a storm cloud, neither of us sure what the next move would be. My heart pounded as I held the phone in my hand, staring at the message from Sarah. "James has been lying to you. He's been seeing me for months." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. The ground beneath my feet felt as though it had shifted, and my stomach turned in knots. This was the moment everything was supposed to feel real, yet I couldn't stop shaking as the truth began to sink in. I tried calling James immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. My mind raced with 100 questions. Was this some cruel prank? Had Sarah made it all up? I couldn't bear the uncertainty, the feeling of betrayal creeping in from all directions. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I quickly wiped them away, determined to find the truth. I grabbed my coat and rushed out of the apartment, my hands trembling as I dialed his number one more time, but still no answer. I needed to confront him, needed to hear the truth from his lips. With every step toward our shared home, the anxiety grew stronger. My chest tightened, and my mind spun with every possibility of what could be waiting inside. Was it really possible that the man I trusted so deeply, the man I thought I knew, had been living a double life? I stepped inside, the silence of the apartment nearly suffocating. The echo of my own footsteps felt louder than ever. I walked to the bedroom, heart pounding in my ears. There on the bed was a half-unpacked suitcase. James's things were scattered around, but he wasn't there. The feeling of emptiness washed over me. It wasn't just the room, it was everything. I sat down, picking up his phone, instinctively knowing that whatever was in his messages would be the key. But as my finger hovered over the screen, the door creaked behind me. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. "Hey, Lily," came the familiar voice. But this time, it sounded different, guilty, uneasy. It was James. He had just walked in. The confrontation was inevitable. The following day, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled in my chest. Despite trying to focus on work, my mind kept drifting back to the conversation I had overheard from Sarah. I replayed the words in my head. "He's been lying to you. He's been seeing me for months." As the hours ticked by, my anxiety only intensified. I couldn't just ignore this. I couldn't just let it go. The images of Sarah's message haunted my every thought. But what was worse was the deafening silence from James. He hadn't called, hadn't even tried to reach me after I confronted him the night before. I hadn't seen him since our tense argument in the apartment. The clock seemed to crawl, and when it hit 5:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a message from James. My hands shook as I opened it. "Can we talk? Please, I didn't want you to find out this way." The words made my stomach lurch. I knew I had to meet him. This was it. This was the moment that would either confirm my worst fears or shatter everything I had believed in. I quickly texted back, "Where?" James replied almost instantly, "The park by our place. I'll be there at 7. The park. My mind raced. The last time we had been there, it was full of laughter and light. Now it felt like a place where our past was about to collide with a truth I wasn't sure I was ready for. When 7 p.m. finally rolled around, I was already standing by the fountain, my heart hammering in my chest. Every step I took toward the park made me feel like I was walking deeper into a nightmare I couldn't wake from. I saw James from a distance, his figure outlined by the dim streetlights, waiting for me. The moment our eyes met, it felt like everything paused. I could see the nervousness on his face, but it only made me more uncertain. Was this really the man I had married? I took a deep breath and walked toward him, my steps heavy with anticipation. "James," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Tell me everything, now." He sighed deeply, and the silence that followed stretched on, the weight of the truth still hanging between us. The following morning, I woke up with a heavy feeling in my chest. The conversation with James the previous night had been explosive, leaving both of us standing on the edge of a cliff, unsure of how to proceed. I couldn't shake the images of his pleading eyes and the raw honesty in his voice. But despite his promises to change, I couldn't ignore the deep sense of betrayal that still burned within me. As I stood in the kitchen making coffee, my mind kept racing. I thought about the future. Was it possible to rebuild our trust? Could I ever look at James the same way again? I had spent years building a life with him, but now everything felt fragile, shattered by a secret I never saw coming. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a message from James. "Lily, please, I know I messed up, but I need you to believe me. I'm committed to fixing this." My heart skipped a beat. I wanted to respond, to yell at him for what he had done, but instead, I simply stared at the screen. He wanted to fix things. He wanted me to believe in him again. But could I? Before I could reply, there was a knock on the door. My pulse quickened. It was early, and I wasn't expecting anyone. Hesitantly, I walked to the door, my nerves on edge. When I opened it, I was met with the last person I expected, Adam. "Lily," he said, his voice tense. "We need to talk." My stomach dropped. Adam's face was serious, his eyes wide with concern. For a moment, I stood frozen in the doorway, my mind racing. Why was he here? What did he want? "Is everything okay?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady even though my heart was pounding. Adam looked around quickly, as if to make sure no one was watching. "I don't know how to say this, but you need to know the truth. It's about James." My heart stopped. "What about James?" Adam took a deep breath, his gaze never leaving mine. "I found something I think you need to see. It's about his relationship with Sarah." I felt the world tilt beneath my feet. "What are you talking about?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "I have evidence," Adam said, stepping closer. "But we need to leave now. There's no time to waste." My mind reeled as I looked into Adam's eyes. I had trusted James with everything, but now, standing here, my world was falling apart all over again. I sat alone in the living room, my thoughts spinning wildly. The conversation with Adam had left me in turmoil, but there was no time to process it. The truth about James's betrayal was one thing, but Adam's involvement made everything infinitely more complicated. I needed answers. I needed to know if I could ever trust James again. Just as I was about to call him, the doorbell rang, cutting through the stillness. My heart jumped in my chest. I knew it was James, but the dread that had been building inside me intensified. I stood up, legs unsteady as I walked to the door, my hands clammy. I opened it to find him standing there, looking disheveled but determined. "Lily, we need to talk," James said, his voice low, his eyes searching mine desperately. "I've heard enough," I replied, my voice steady, though my heart raced. "I don't know if I can listen anymore." "Please," James continued, stepping forward. "I know I've hurt you, but I'm sorry. I can't lose you." The sincerity in his voice almost made me falter, but the weight of his lies still hung heavily in the air. "I don't know if I can forgive you, James," I said, my voice cracking. "But I need to know everything. If I'm going to move forward, I need to hear the truth." James looked pained, his eyes filled with regret. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, my phone buzzed, the screen lighting up with a message from Adam. "You're not alone in this, Lily. I'll be here when you're ready to talk." The timing was impossible to ignore. My pulse quickened. Would I follow James's lead and try to salvage what we had? Or would I take Adam's offer and explore the possibility of something new, something real? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel lonely or disconnected, especially when our partners are often busy. However, the story of Lily highlights the importance of setting clear boundaries in relationships and prioritizing trust. If you're ever in a situation where emotional connections begin to blur, it's vital to recognize the importance of loyalty and honest communication. Avoid allowing temporary feelings of loneliness to lead to choices that could jeopardize your relationships. It's crucial to address discomfort early and talk openly with your partner, maintaining healthy boundaries and ensuring mutual respect in every interaction.